Geolocation is one of those features that web designers sometimes forget to take advantage of. It's more than just a way of finding out where a user is located. It can also be an important tool in responsive web design. We can make location-specific content available to users, and in this video, I'll discuss responsive web design and geolocation. Now, geolocation is fairly simple to implement. There are a couple of caveats. The first one is that it's HTML5. It's a new feature. The API is a new feature of HTML5, and therefore you have to have an HTML5 compatible browser to use it. Now, we always do this with APIs, application programming interfaces, where we check to see if the actual browser compatibility is there first. And if it is, so if navigator.geolocation, then go ahead and run the geolocation API and get the coordinates down here. Otherwise, just alert the user that this browser doesn't support geolocation. And that's really important because in responsive design, it's just as important to show users who don't have the ability to access your content that they have an option of upgrading, or that at least they're there. So that's really important. Now, the other thing about geolocation is, and I'll go ahead and actually just run this page. Let's go and take a look at it. So what we do is click the picture. I'll refresh this first. Click the picture. Oops, there we go. Now, what's going to happen is the browser is going to ask you, this is the one thing about the geolocation API, it only works if the user gives permission to share their location with you. So the browser is going to ask the user. So you have to be ready for a user who says, no, I don't want to share my location, and how you can respond to those scenarios. But I'll go ahead and just click allow once. And here you can see my location is right there. Now, that's very, very important because what we're looking at here is a set of coordinates, and those coordinates, you have to do something with them, and it's not always easy. But here's the thing about geolocation, is that there are plenty of good interfaces out there that you can plug into. And one of them is the Google Developers Google Maps API, and that'll allow you to tie into Google Maps. And there's plenty of code there for you to work with. And depending on how much you use it, it's typically a free service to use. But if it's something that you're going to be using constantly, there may be a charge in there. You have to sort of look at the various options that are available to you. But this is just one of many interfaces that you can tie into, and that's great because people don't want to see coordinates. They actually want to see a map, something responsive, something that shows their location, something that's relatively interactive. So that's very important. Now, the thing about geolocation is that what does it do for you? Well, it gives you some options. It doesn't just find the user's location for you. It gives you the ability to make your website responsive by putting things in there that will help them. So, for example, if you had a forms field and you could identify the user's country, and there are ways to do that, then you could go ahead and just put in the states or provinces for that country in the form fields. You could autofill some information. You could make it more responsive that way. And that's particularly important for small devices where users, if they have to go through a lot of information or enter a lot of information in a form that could be autofilled based on location, then it's going to make their job harder, and you can make the experience better by making it more responsive, by tapping into their location and then using that location information for something good, for something responsive in your website. So just keep that in mind. But check out the Google Maps API. It's great. It gives you some instant access to geolocation. Just remember some of the things I've told you. Remember, geolocation is really dependent on whether the user wants to share that information or not. But once you've sort of familiarized yourself with the API, it's really great to be able to provide that level of responsiveness by a user's location.